Facebook is now the modern-day baby book. The site has become the easiest, fastest way, right, to share all those adorable photos of your kids with your friends and family. Millions of people are doing it. They're literally documenting their children's lives online. But some parenting experts say that is a big mistake. Joining me now from Ann Arbor, Michigan, one of those critics, Aisha Sultan. She's a parenting columnist. Welcome, Aisha. You felt so strongly about this. You're a parent yourself. You wrote an op-ed about it. Why do you feel that this could be harmful to your kids?
Well, we don't really know how long this information stays up online. We don't know the ways in which it's used and stored and possibly commercialized. So, I mean, I put pictures of my kids online on Facebook to share with my friends and family. I think it's a nice way to connect, especially if you have family out of town. But I think we have to really think about what some of the long-term consequences are.
So what are some of the long-term consequences? Because, you know, it got us a lot of us talking here, those who have kids, and they post a ton of baby pictures up on Facebook, and they don't think anything of it.
Right. I mean, most parents think their kids are the cutest things in the world and, you know, say hilarious things, so we love to share that, and I do too. But, you know, we should be able to tell our own story about our own lives. And I feel like when we start at such a young age creating a permanent record of our children, that at this point we really don't know how long that data stays around and the ways in which it's used. They don't really have a voice in telling and creating their own story.
So how old do you think?
It's just something to be cognizant of.
Sure, sure. How old do you think a child should be before you turn to your child and you say, hey, is this okay? Is this okay if I post this?
You know, I think those conversations actually should start really, really early, because right now as a society, we're negotiating what's public, what's private. You know, most young adults feel very comfortable sharing quite a bit about their lives. And so I would say even as young as a toddler can start to understand what it means if you want to keep certain things private and just for your parents or your friends to know, and what does it mean if you want to share with more people, and what does it mean if this stays around for a long time. And I think those are conversations that we really should be having now as our society is negotiating a rethought out norm about what privacy means.
And so what do you think is acceptable and what's not acceptable? I mean, you know, parents, they'll put that picture of you, you know, in the bathtub, and it comes back to haunt you years later, or the picture of you and Santa Claus, or what do you think is acceptable and what's not?
See, most of these things I think usually are pretty benign, but the danger comes in stuff that, you know, could, like you said, could come back and embarrass your child later. A lot of us use social media to vent or share our frustrations, and you kind of wonder, you know, how would my child feel reading about something that happened, embarrassing or upsetting about them years later? How would their peers feel about this? I mean, you don't know the ways in which things can go viral, and a video that might seem so cute and adorable when they're 3, are they going to feel the same way when they're 13 about that? Are they going to feel the same way when they apply for a job? If something stupid they've done as a teenager is a permanent record, part of their permanent digital record. Now, I've seen studies that say that, you know, up to 90% of kids have some sort of a digital online footprint by the time they're 2 years old.
Wow. And so
I mean, that's pretty young, and it's most kids.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems very young. So what can parents do, what can kids do to make sure that their privacy is protected and that you're having those kinds of conversations in the family?
Well, I think first of all, and this can seem like a challenge in itself because privacy settings are always changing on different social networks, and especially Facebook. It seems like, you know, a task to keep up with it, but it really is very important because most of us do value our privacy, and we do see that there is something to be said for maintaining that. So the onus is on us to keep up with what those changes are, and to know how much we're sharing with how many people. Like, can friends of friends see a picture that you've posted or a post that you've written? And second of all, to really think about the long-term consequences. How would somebody feel about this if it was brought up to used against them at some way later on? And lastly, have frequent conversations. There's so much stuff happening in the news constantly in which people make bad choices regarding privacy or use questionable judgment, and, you know, there are consequences of that. And I think the sooner we have those conversations with our kids, the more often we have them, the more aware, and hopefully the more it impacts the way they think about it.
So if you were having a conversation with your kid, what would you say? What would be the kind of thing that you would simply ask them, like a 4-year-old, is this okay if I put this online?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the whole reason that I came to Michigan to study this topic was because there was a moment in which I was about to put something I thought, profound that my 5-year-old kindergartner had said on Facebook. And he saw me reach for my laptop and he said, "Are you going to put that on Facebook?" And I said, "Yeah, I was going to." And he said, "No, I don't want you to." And that was a really profound moment for me, because I thought to myself, well, even a toddler, even a 5-year-old, even a kindergartner has intellectual property rights. And as a parent, I should respect that. And so, I think at a very young age, 3, 4, 5, I talked to my 7 and 9-year-old about the Darun Ravi case, the Rutgers student who was sentenced this week, about, why he got in trouble, what he did that got him in trouble. We didn't get into the specifics of it, but we talked about, we did talk about what does it mean to respect another person's privacy, and what does it mean to share something about yourself, and how many people can see it. There's so many opportunities and so many moments for that to start coming up. And I think, we would want to have control over our own information. And I think our kids at some point are going to look at us and say, why did you give this all away about us? And why weren't we ever asked? We've made a conscious choice to share as much as we wanted to, but our kids really haven't had a voice in making that decision yet.
Aisha, very good points there. Obviously, you can read more of the full article, Aisha's article that's online. It's at CNN.com. This man is showing how